It is August 26th, and I'm ready to start working on Christmas cards. But first, I need to go find out how many I need to make. Okay, so how many Christmas cards do you want this year?
Probably about 100.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Welcome to Handmade Happenings, and after that answer from my mom, you probably better understand why Christmas card making starts in August around here. Now, I am not going to be showing making all 100 cards. That would be ridiculous to do and very long. Today's video is my setup and tips and tricks for how I get this done when making so many cards. And a lot of these tips actually also apply when I'm making fewer cards when I'm doing the monthly card making as well. Tip number one and my first step is pull everything out that you need. So the first thing I do with this is I pull out all the stamp sets that I need. In this case, all of the Christmas ones, pretty easy. They're pretty much all in the same spot because after all, when other than Christmas are you going to use a Wiseman stamp set? After that, I also pull out the cardstock colors that I use frequently for Christmas cards. Now this is the reds, green, navy blue, light blue, and dark purple in my case, as well as the corresponding matching ink pads. Tip number two is to take all these items and store them together. Now this could be as simple as clearing a space on your craft shelf or wherever you store it and keeping it all together, or I'm putting it in a box this year because that's what I had. I've also been known to just store it in a bag underneath the desk where I work. The point is to have it all where you can grab it at once. Which leads right into number three, which is the reason why you want all of this stored together is you are not going to do this all at once, at least I don't. I work in sessions. Basically, I set a certain amount that I want to do in a day and do it. So that's why having it all stored together is important because you can easily grab it and pull it out for the session when you want to do it. So tip number four is to work in a clear space. When I go to do my card making, I remove everything off the desk that I use that can be removed because I find that with card making, you've got the cards, you've got your paper, you've got your stamps, you've got your die cut machine if you have one, you have your paper cutter. It just fills up your space fast, so it is much easier if you're starting with a clear space where you can set everything up and use it. The next thing I do to make this process easier is pre-cut and score card bases. Now, this could go in two ways. Either I could start at the very beginning and cut out all 100 card bases and score them, because I only use white ones. I don't use any colors. If I want a full background color, I just cut a piece and tape or attach it to the white card base. So I do this all at once. Usually I don't do it 100 at once. I do it at the beginning of a session. Like if I say I'm going to sit down and make 12 cards today, I sit down and I cut and score 12 bases and have them ready before I even start planning what cards I'm going to make in that session. Tip number 6 is to pick a theme for each session. So usually when I do this, that means picking a specific stamp set. And all of the cards that I make in that session will primarily use that set. And this just streamlines things because theoretically then you only have one, maybe two stamp sets out at a time. You're not mixing up your stamps. You're not constantly having to remove them off the block, because if you've planned things well and you know, for example, okay, I have this horse and sleigh and I need 4 of them, you could stamp them all at once. So it clears everything up a bit and just streamlines things and makes it less likely that you're going to lose something in the process. Along a similar line is the next tip, which is to stamp sentiments last. Whether this is at the end of your session or at the end of the card making altogether, which is mostly what I will probably do this year. So I recommend this because, especially if you're doing the exact same sentiment on the inside of all of your cards, you only have to do it once. Like, you put the sentiment on your block and you ink and you go through. And what I recommend doing, if that's what you're doing, is to take all of your cards and organize them into piles according to the color ink that you're going to use on the stamp when you stamp on the inside. Once you've done that, you can put your stamp onto the block, take one pile, get that ink color out, and just stamp and go through the whole pile. Clean your stamp and then move on to the next pile and the next color of ink. And the last thing I recommend is about storage, and that's just to really think about where you're going to store them while you're working on them. Like I said, I don't finish all of the cards until after they're all finished, so I have to hang on to them. One, because if I lose count, I have to have them so that I can count them again if I need to, and two, because again, they're not finished because they don't have their inside message stamped in there yet. So I keep all of mine usually in a box of some sort because I don't want them sitting in a drawer and getting the edges bent or, well, actually anything bent. So just think about your storage. I recommend a box. And those are my tips for staying organized when making a lot of cards. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time.